What's going on, baseball fans? How are we doing? So Jim Bowden of The Athletic has evaluated some trades submitted by subscribers. So in this video, I'm not just going to evaluate those trades. I'm also going to evaluate Jim Bowden's evaluations. Let's get to it. Okay, so here we go. Jim Bowden evaluates your proposals for Matt Olson, Bryan Reynolds, Luis Castillo, and more. Buckle your seatbelts, grab your Dr. Pepper, grab your popcorn. We have 17 trades to evaluate here, and considering it's Jim Bowden, who has not had the best luck as a general manager in the past, and he has just said some very outlandish things, mainly towards trades in the past, and I'm thinking, what the heck are you talking about, my friend? So this should be rather exciting to look at. So I have entered in all of the trades onto baseballtradevalues.com. It is the best baseball trade simulator on the internet right now. They have a 95% acceptance rate. So that's the closest thing you're going to get. A 95%, that's pretty good if you ask me. Are they perfect? No, but 95%, that's not bad. So let's take a look here. First trade, Red Sox trade Bobby Dalbec, Jarren Duran, Jeter Downs, and Thaddeus Ward to the A's for Matt Olson and Frankie Montas. Taking a look at this trade, it's pretty terrible. If you're the A's, you're giving up way too much here. You have to remember, Frankie Montas, Matt Olson, these guys have multiple years of control. They're young. Obviously, they're very good, and they're cheap. That's why their values are going to be high. It's not going to cost, a couple of pennies and maybe a hot dog to get these guys. It's going to take you a bit. So a package of Dalbec, Downs, Duran, and Ward, it's just not going to be strong enough. Now, could you maybe throw this at, the A's, maybe for someone like Frankie Montas, maybe another player in there as well? Sure, absolutely. I think now you're talking, but for both of these guys, absolutely not. Let's see what Jim Bowden has to say here. Zach, that's an extremely strong package of prospects you're dangling there. Well, actually, according to the values, no, it's not strong enough. But it's not a bad group of prospects. It's just not good enough for these two guys. If I'm the A's, I'd ask you to substitute first baseman Tristan Casas for Dalbec and right-hander Brayan Bello for Ward. Then we can call a press conference. Well, let's take a look at that trade. I actually entered this as well. Now, you're actually on the right track here. This would probably, you're in the ballpark now. You're in, you have a conversation started here. So obviously Tristan Casas, he's going to have way more value than someone like a Bobby Dalbec. Casas, he's also a young first baseman, a good amount of power. Casas to me is going to be the more complete hitter, while someone like Bobby Dalbec is purely just a power guy as of right now. And Brayan Bello, this guy could be an impact reliever this year. So to me, this package makes a lot more sense. Now, if I'm the Red Sox, do I want to do this? Probably not, because I want to hang on to Tristan Casas. To me, I would rather throw you Dalbec and maybe just get someone like a Montas. I would love him for the rotation. That'd be great. Or if you wanted to just go get Olson, I'd be okay with that too. But I don't know. I'm not doing that. I'd rather just keep Tristan Casas, who to me, he can hit to all fields. He's going to work. He's going to be able to work that monster a little bit more. Whereas someone like Matt Olson, more of a pull guy. To me, I want the lefty hitters to be able to work the opposite field at Fenway if they can. That's definitely more preferable to me. So while, yes, this second trade is definitely more in the ballpark, I personally would not do it. Next up, the Rangers trade Nathaniel Lowe, Justin Foscue, Glenn Otto, and Sam Huff to the A's for Matt Olson. I think Matt Olson on the Rangers would be fantastic. That middle of the order, Matt Olson, Corey Seager, I mean, come on, Marcus Semien, are you kidding me? What a middle of the order that would be. Let's take a look at what that trade would look like. Now, this is actually pretty decent on paper, if you ask me. So the person that submitted this trade, good for you. This is a good looking trade. The Rangers right now, I think Foscue is expendable because they just have a ton of middle infielders right now. Huff he doesn't seem to have a place with the Rangers. I don't know if maybe he can kind of work his way back into that system a bit. And Nathaniel Lowe would be the main piece going back to the A's. He's under a lot of control. He would make a lot of sense for the A's. Obviously, you have him under control for a few years, more than a few years, and he's going to be cheap. So, and then you're getting Otto, a right-hander as well, who definitely has some potential. This is a pretty good trade on paper, if you ask me. Let's see what Jim Bowden has to say. If I'm the A's, I'd pass on this offer without a counter. Jim, what are you talking about, my friend? What the heck are you talking about? Well, Oh, that's too bad, because this is a pretty good trade for the A's. Could you maybe get a better package out there? Sure, but just gonna decline it without a counteroffer? What the heck are you talking about? I like Lowe's power, but he can be pitched to. I mean, he's a very good on base guy. He's young. I mean, he could definitely improve. Foscue is the best player in the package, but not enough for Olson. Well, yeah, he's not enough for Olson because you're getting other guys with him. Otto didn't impress me during his call-up last season. I mean, sure, not great numbers overall, but there's a lot of potential with him. He has pretty good stuff. And Huff is just an extra player at best. So back to the drawing board, Lewis. I mean, I don't know, just to be very dismissive like that when it's on paper, it's a pretty good deal. I like the offer. I mean, sure, is it maybe the only good offer out there for someone like Matt Olson? Probably not. I mean, you're going to have a lot of competition for someone like Matt Olson in the trade market, but I don't think you should just dismiss this completely. I think this could start a conversation. Next up, the Padres trade Robert Hassell, Ethan Elliott, Joshua Mears, and Jackson Merrill to the A's for Matt Olson. So another Matt Olson trade here. Already, I mean, the values, yes, they do look pretty good on paper, but right now, I don't know if Olson makes a ton of sense for the Padres just because you have Eric Hosmer there. Unless you get the universal DH, then maybe that could fit. I feel like with Hassell, I don't know. To me, I think the Padres right now, their main motivation is to try and unload that Eric Hosmer contract, and attaching someone like Hassell might be able to get it done. I don't mind Matt Olson for the Padres. I think that could actually be pretty good if you ask me. But right now, obviously with Hosmer at first, I mean, what do you do there? That's a big contract. The universal DH, that would definitely help. For the A's, I think it's a good package. Robert Hassell, I'm very excited to see what he can do in the future. Let's see what Jim Bowden has to say. If I'm Oakland, I'd make this trade. Yeah, I would actually agree. I would actually say for Oakland, if you have a chance to get a Robert Hassell who could be a complete outfielder in the future, I think you do it. I definitely think. I think Hassell is a future star. We agree on that too, and has a chance to win a batting title in the majors someday. Mears is an A's type player who can draw walks and hit homers. Elliott projects as a back of the rotation starter or setup reliever, and Merrill is a left-handed hitting shortstop who was the Padres' first-round pick last year. But if I'm San Diego, I'm not even considering this offer. Yeah, I think I agree actually with this. For San Diego, I don't think, to get a couple of years of Olson, I mean, that would be nice, but I mean, you're getting rid of Hassell. To me, I think the only way I'm getting rid of Hassell is if I'm able to unload Eric Hosmer some way. And I don't know. Olson would be nice for that lineup. But overall, I think this is a good offer for the A's. I'm not too excited about it for the Padres. So yeah, with this here, I actually agree with Jim Bowden. Next up, the Dodgers trade Gavin Lux, Tony Gonsolin, Andy Pages, and Clayton Beeter to the A's for Matt Olson and Chris Bassitt. If we take a look at the trade on paper, the Dodgers are actually getting more out of this. They're getting right around $5 million more than the A's would be receiving. I would think you'd have to throw in another prospect here if you can. It feels a little underwhelming. I do like Pages. Lux, I think, actually would be a pretty nice fit with the A's. Gonsolin, hey, that mustache, that would fit pretty well in Oakland. And then you're getting Beeter, too. I like the package. I think it's slightly a little underwhelming. I think for the Dodgers, you're killing two birds with one stone. You could use some more pitching depth. Olson would be a nice fit at first base, especially losing Corey Seager. Getting another left-handed bat and Matt Olson. I actually like the trade. I think you're on the right track here, so I don't think you're far off. I think for the A's, you probably should be able to get another prospect out of this. But let's take a look at what Bowden has to say. The A's say no. They'll do better by trading Olson and Bassitt in separate deals. I also think the Dodgers would be better off signing Freddie Freeman as a free agent and keeping Lux and Gonsolin. Remember, infielder Trey Turner will be a free agent after next season, and the Dodgers are thin in starting pitching depth. So I see what he's saying here. I don't think he's completely off here with saying the Dodgers will be better off with Freeman. Now, the question is, do the Dodgers... is the luxury tax going to be a concern for them? They've been over that luxury tax now for what feels like forever. Are they going to want to try and get under that luxury tax line eventually? They are having money coming off the books eventually. And I see what he's saying here too. Trey Turner, you don't know what he's going to do. Does he want to hit the market? Could the Dodgers get him signed up to an extension? So, and keeping Lux around might actually be a good insurance piece for them. And then Gonsolin, obviously you're getting starting rotation depth. But what I don't understand what he's saying here is that the Dodgers are thin in starting pitching depth. Well, you're getting Chris Bassitt, so that's gonna you're going to counteract the loss of Gonsolin with Chris Bassitt. So I would say overall, I don't think it's completely far off. I think if the A's got another pretty decent prospect out of this, maybe someone in the $5 to $10 million range of value, I think this is actually a pretty good looking trade. Let's move on to a couple of Luis Castillo trades. Let's take a look at the first one here. The Mets trade Jeff McNeil and shortstop Ronnie Mauricio to the Reds for Luis Castillo. I already just know this is not even close in value, so before we take a look at that, Jim Bowden says here, this is a fair offer talent-wise. No, it's not. But the Reds don't need middle infield help. If they trade Castillo, they have to get back starting pitching and an outfield power bat as the return. I think I agree with that. Yeah, if you're going to trade Castillo, I would want to have some pitching coming back. Let's take a look at this. Luis Castillo, he got off to a rough start last year, but he looked a lot better after that first month. So Luis Castillo, to me, is still one of the highest value pitchers in the game today. But for this trade, it's not even close. I mean, you're getting Mauricio, a shortstop prospect. I mean, I guess that's pretty nice. And then McNeil, but I don't know. I just don't see why would the Reds, I guess, could you do something with McNeil? Yeah, but you got a lot of infielders there. I don't know really where McNeil would fit. I don't like the trade, but I don't agree with I don't know what Bowden's talking about. This is a fair offer talent-wise. It's not, Jim. What are you talking about here, my friend? I don't know. But let's move on to the next one. He has here for another Luis Castillo trade. The Rays trade Vidal Brujan, Seth Johnson, and another C+ minor league pitcher to the Reds for Luis Castillo. Let's take a look here. If I'm the Reds, I'm countering this offer and asking for outfielder third baseman Josh Lowe and right-hander Taj Bradley for Castillo. That's a fair deal for both sides. Let's take a look at this first one here. Vidal Brujan, Seth Johnson, another C+ minor league pitcher for Luis Castillo. So in this trade, let's get out of that one. So I threw Cole Wilcox in as another like C+ pitcher, right around, $6.5 million of value here. But again, this is still not close. Brujan could be a talented middle infielder at some point. Guys got super speed, incredibly fast. So, and he's not much of a power guy, going to be more of a contact speed guy. And he'll be pretty good in the field for you too. And then you're getting a couple of pitchers here. Now, I like the Reds getting some pitchers here, but I just don't think this is enough. I mean, with the Rays, I think Luis Castillo would actually be a really fun fit with the Rays. They could use another starting pitcher. It felt like they really lacked that in the postseason last year against the Red Sox. Castillo, he's cheap, he's talented. I think he'd be really fun for the Rays, but this trade doesn't make sense to me. Going back to what Jim Bowden suggested, he said, I'm countering this offer, asking for Josh Lowe and Taj Bradley. Well, I have that trade up here too. And Jim, what the heck are you talking about, my friend? You are over $30 million of value apart here. Bradley, Lowe, I mean, I do like Lowe, but Lowe is just starting the conversation. I mean, you're just got your foot in the door with Lowe if you're asking for Castillo. Come on, Jim. What are you doing here, my friend? Now let's move on to a Bryan Reynolds trade. And I think this is actually a very intriguing trade. Take a look at this one. Pirates trade Bryan Reynolds, Kevin Newman, and David Bednar to the Marlins for Pablo Lopez, Max Meyer, and Khalil Watson. Take a look at this trade. This is just about as dead even as you can get. You got a lot of talent going back to the other team here. Taking a look at this, Bryan Reynolds is the main piece. He has an $85 million value. He's young, he's productive, he has control on his contract. I mean, Bryan Reynolds, it's going to cost you a bit to get him. And then you're also getting a good relief pitcher in David Bednar. So overall, $104.5 million of value going back to the Marlins. But for the Pirates, I don't know about this with Lopez. I don't see what Lopez does for you right now. I mean, he does have some control. He's a free agent in 2025. But to me, I feel like with the Pirates, I don't know. I feel like unless you can get him signed up to an extension, the Pirates, they tend not to like to spend all that money. But yeah, I don't see Lopez really being a timeline fit for the Pirates. I think he would be an awesome fit for a lot of teams, but for the Pirates, I don't know. It's interesting because you are getting Meyer and Watson. Now, if I could get those two prospects in my system, I would do that. But I would find a way to get something else instead of Lopez, and then I think you're talking. It's really intriguing. I like it for the Marlins because for the Marlins, you're getting a bat that you desperately need. That bullpen could definitely be better too. Bednar would really help out. I like it a lot for the Marlins. I think it would be awesome. Bryan Reynolds, I guess in a way, could be the replacement for a Christian Yelich. I mean, jeez, I can't believe that, the Marlins got rid of Christian Yelich. I don't know. But it's very intriguing. I don't like Lopez going to the Pirates, but hey, if you can get something swapped out for Lopez here, I think you might have something. But taking a look at what Jim Bowden says, he says, that's a fascinating trade proposal. If I'm the Pirates, I make this trade. But if I'm the Marlins, I'd pass. Yeah, I agree. I think with the Pirates, I don't know if they would want Pablo Lopez, like I said, but I would love to have Meyer and Watson do them. I don't think the Marlins would want to get rid of those guys. I don't know. Max Meyer has looked great in the minor leagues. Khalil Watson, an electric young shortstop out of high school. Overall, I don't think this trade would happen, but it's pretty fun to look at. Let's do another Bryan Reynolds trade, shall we? The Padres trade Mackenzie Gore, James Wood, Ryan Weathers, Kevin Kopps, and Victor Lizarraga to the Pirates for Bryan Reynolds. This is what Jim Bowden has to say. I would love it from the Pirates' perspective, but it's too high a price from the Padres' end. Even though I love Reynolds, and he'd be a perfect fit in the Padres' outfield with Trent Grisham. Jim, what the heck? You are apart by about $60 million, Jim. What are you talking about? I would love it from the Pirates' perspective. Are you kidding me? What are you talking about? Oh, Jim, go home. Go home. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. I'm not sure if I can recover from that last one, but let's take a look at this one. The Pirates trade Bryan Reynolds to the Mariners for Julio Rodriguez, Emerson Hancock, and another prospect. Well, taking a look at the values here, they're actually very close, but if I'm the Mariners, do I do this? No, I wouldn't do this. I'm not giving up Julio Rodriguez. I'm not giving up Emerson Hancock and Williamson as well. I think if you're the Mariners, if you could maybe somehow get Reynolds, maybe you could maybe part with Kyle Lewis somehow, but I don't know how he fits with the Pirates timeline-wise. I guess it wouldn't be a terrible fit. But yeah, Bryan Reynolds, I don't know, that's going to be pretty tough here. I think this trade would get it done, but there's no way the Pirates are giving up Julio Rodriguez. Taking a look at what Jim Bowden has to say. The Mariners say no freaking way and hang up the phone. Yeah, they're not giving up Julio Rodriguez. Hancock, it's going to be tough to get him too. So I agree, Jim. You redeemed yourself after that terrible trade before this one. Sticking with the Mariners for the next trade, they trade Drew Steckenrider, Levi Stout, and Zach Deloche to the A's for Chris Bassitt. Jim Bowden says this makes a lot of sense for both teams and is one of the best proposals suggested here. This trade would solidify the Mariners as a postseason team in 2022. I would love to see Chris Bassitt on the Mariners. I think that would actually be a really good fit. The only thing I'm having a problem with here is why would the A's want Drew Steckenrider? I don't know. I mean, why would they want a guy like that? I just don't see what it would do for them. On paper, I actually think the A's are coming up a little short here. I think they could use another prospect out of this or switch out Steckenrider, because I just don't see how he's really helping you with the A's. If you're trying to sell off everyone, I mean, why do you want to bring back Steckenrider? If we take a look here, with Steckenrider, he's not making a lot, but he's a free agent in a couple of years, $2.1 million. I just don't see why the A's would really want him. It's, to me, if you're getting rid of everyone, why do you are you going to compete? I don't know. I think Steckenrider, this is a guy, he's just not really doing much for you. So I think if you can switch out Steckenrider, maybe get another decent prospect, I actually think this could be a pretty good deal. Next up, we got a fun one. The Angels trade Joe Adell to the Guardians for pitcher Tristan McKenzie in a need trade of young, controllable players. This is what Jim Bowden has to say. Mike, you are preaching to the choir. This deal works for both teams, and there's equal value on both sides. As you allude to, both players aren't arbitration eligible until 2024, and they don't become free agents until after the 2026 season. Great trade idea. Jim, this is where you're wrong, my friend. Triston McKenzie has more value right now than a Joe Adell. Why? Because, well, pitchers tend to just be more valuable these days, and Joe Adell, he's just been struggling since coming up to the major leagues. So to me, you're apart on the values here. You're around $11 million, $12 million in difference right now. So this trade does not happen. If you're the Angels, you're going to have to give something, maybe like a Sam Bachman as well with a Joe Adell. And at that point, do the Angels want to do that for Triston McKenzie, who's had, some good moments, but he hasn't fully put it together? I agree. I think Triston McKenzie would be a really nice addition for the Angels. And I think Adell would be really fun for the Guardians. I just don't think this really lines up, because I think for the Angels, if you're having to give up Adell and another prospect, to match up the values, I just don't see the Angels doing that. So to me, I just don't think, I think the Angels would rather see if Adell can rebuild his value a little bit more. And if he ends up helping the team, great. But if they feel like they can move him in a deal where he has more value, then you could do that too. This trade, it doesn't work. Next up, let's talk about the Mets. The Mets trade Mark Vientos and J.D. Davis to the A's for Chris Bassitt. I think Chris Bassitt on the Mets would be a really nice fit. I feel like the Mets would be better off getting a lefty. They have all righties in that rotation right now. I think a lefty, someone like Sean Manaea, would be a really nice fit for them. This is what Jim Bowden has to say. The A's would pass on this offer without a counter proposal. Not enough meat on the bone. Well, if you actually take a look here, with Chris Bassitt, he has a $17 million value, and Vientos, he has $17.5 million. I think actually there's plenty of meat on this. I don't see the A's really wanting J.D. Davis. I don't see what you would even do with him. I think they would be okay with someone like Vientos, maybe get another prospect out of this, and I actually think you got something here. But Jim, I don't know, what are you talking about, man? Not enough meat on the bone? I mean, Mark Vientos, he's a pretty good power-hitting third base prospect. I think he would actually make a lot of sense for the A's. I think he's a conversation starter. So, Jim, I don't know what you're talking about, my friend. There's definitely meat on this bone. Next up, let's get the Tigers involved here. The Tigers trade third baseman Jeimer Candelario and Jackson Jobe to the A's for Matt Chapman. I don't know about this one. Let's see what Jim Bowden has to say. This deal is one that Oakland would have to consider because Jobe is one of the best pitching prospects in the game. Would have to consider? You would do this in a heartbeat. Are you kidding me? He has a chance to become an ace. Candelario is a significant downgrade from Chapman, but he would replace him at third base and at least keep the A's competitive. Solid trade idea. For the Tigers, absolutely not. They're not getting rid of Jackson Jobe for Matt Chapman. Are you kidding me? And the Tigers, they're giving up more value here. They're giving up $32.6 million, and they're only getting $24.1 in Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman had a down year last year, at least batting average and on base wise. Sure, the power was there, and obviously you're getting a great glove, but I don't know. I'm not giving up Jackson Jobe, who was the number 3 pick in the draft. Why would it? If the Tigers did this, they would be absolutely ridiculous. Candelario, he is not that much of a downgrade from Chapman. Candelario is actually pretty good, and I find to be pretty underrated. So to me, this is not a good trade. I don't like this. For the A's, yeah, you do this in a heartbeat. Absolutely. If you can get Jackson Jobe for Matt Chapman, you do that all day. Up next, we got the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs trade Wilson Contreras to the Giants for Joey Bart and left-hander Seth Corey. So taking a look at this trade as of right now, for the Cubs, they're definitely winning this. They're getting a young catcher in Joey Bart in exchange for Wilson Contreras, who's going to be a free agent after this year. Joey Bart, I like Joey Bart. I think he could end up being a really good catcher. Hits for power. He's got a great arm. The defense behind the plate, sure, it could be better, but Joey Bart, there's a lot of potential there. And you're getting a left-hander in Seth Corey. So to me, you're just building up pitching depth in the farm system. And for the Giants, I mean, you're getting Wilson Contreras. I mean, that's going to help you now, but are you going to be able to get him locked up, long term? I mean, what are you going to do? I don't know. I don't like this trade. I think for the Giants, you're better off hanging on to Joey Bart. He's been in your system now for, quite a while. I don't know. I don't know about it. I'm not the biggest fan. Let's see what Jim Bowden has to say. I like Bart's arm, power, and glove, but I'm not sure how much he's going to hit in the majors. While his hit tool isn't very high, I believe right now it's at like around a 40 hit tool. It's not the best, but he has a ton of power. But he has hit well in the minor leagues. He hit over 290 in the minors last year. So, yeah, hey, I mean, overall, the numbers are okay. So, I'd prefer the Cubs to land a better prospect than Bart for Contreras. I mean, to me, if I'm getting Joey Bart for Wilson Contreras and a pitcher along with him, I mean, I would do it. I would absolutely do it for Wilson Contreras. I mean, you just signed Yan Gomes. I don't know. It sounds like the Cubs, make sure. Do I think the Cubs should try and lock him up? I mean, absolutely. But you got a catching prospect down to the minor leagues in Miguel Amaya. I don't know. To me, if I can get Joey Bart, I would do it. Absolutely. He says here, however, if I'm the Cubs, I'd also try to sign Contreras to a long-term deal. I mean, sure, you can go that route too, like I just said. So overall, I'm not the biggest fan of the trade. Up next, we got the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays trade Alejandro Kirk, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., and Jordan Groshans to the A's for Sean Manaea. What the heck? That seems a little lopsided if you ask me. The A's don't need Kirk with Sean Murphy behind the plate, but your offer is too lopsided in favor of Oakland anyway. I agree. Therefore, how about an offer of Gurriel and Groshans for Manaea? Even that's really not very even if you ask me. Taking a look at this trade, I mean, this is way too lopsided. Manaea, he's got $18.5 million of value, and this package is worth over 50. So let's see what Jim Bowden had to say here. He said Gurriel and Groshans, take out Kirk. All right, let's take Kirk out of it, and let's see what we got. But you're still very far apart. I mean, you're $34.3 million of value here and 18.5 here. So why are you suggesting that? I don't know. Reading what else he has to say. If I'm Oakland, I make that trade. But if I'm Toronto, I'm not trading Groshans and a Manaea deal. Then why are you saying, therefore, how about an offer of Gurriel and Groshans for Manaea? Jim, what are you talking about? Go to sleep. Oh, my. And last but not least, we have a trade between the two teams in the 2020 World Series. The Dodgers trade Gavin Lux to the Rays for Tyler Glasnow. Now, I think Tyler Glasnow on the Dodgers would be just a really cool fit. He's a California guy. And while he won't pitch this year, the Dodgers would have him for 2023. They just did the same thing with Tommy Kahnle. They signed him to a two-year deal, and they're not getting him for the first time until this upcoming year. So I could see the Dodgers doing something similar for Tyler Glasnow. I understand where you're coming from, giving up Gavin Lux, because at this point it's like, what has he really done? Maybe a change of scenery could be good for him. But for the Rays, Jim Bowden actually mentions it here. The Rays don't need Lux. They have a whole ton of middle infielders at the moment. So he doesn't really make a lot of sense for the Rays at this point. For the Dodgers, I mean, yeah, if you can get rid of Gavin Lux and get Tyler Glasnow, absolutely. But you're apart here on the values. So to me, if you switch out Lux with someone and maybe add another prospect here, yeah, I mean, for the Dodgers, I mean, that'd be really cool to get someone like Glasnow. If you can add him into your rotation for 2023, I mean, come on, that'd be awesome if you ask me. But this trade, though, I'm not a fan. So those are all the trades submitted to Jim Bowden. Tell me what you think down below. Were there any of those trades that you liked? What do you think of Jim Bowden's evaluations? I have to know what you think. But that's all I have for right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.